or project.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Public Works Director Cotta recommends award of the pumps and related equipment bid to DPX/Alaska Pump and Supply of Anchorage for an amount not to exceed $158,208. I'd entertain a motion to approve that bid award.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Member Stanton Gregor, seconded by Member Marsh. Any discussion? I was gonna ask Mr. Cotta if it went out to bid, and it looks like there was only one responsive bid that came back, so that answered my question when I read a little farther on the agenda. So I'd entertain a motion to approve that bid award.
We already did, Mr. Mayor.
Did we?
Yep, we're in the discussion phase, I believe,
Maybe
unless
we
I'm,
need to go
unless I'm
home and
falling
take
asleep
another
over
nap.
here.
We did. Okay. If there's no discussion, clerk call the roll.
Jay,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Rob, Donna, James,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7, persons to be heard on items related to today's agenda. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on items on today's agenda? Now is the time to do it. Is there anyone zooming in, Clerk Thompson? I don't see any names on the screen.
No one with a hand raised.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we'll move on to item 8, persons to be heard on items unrelated to tonight's agenda. So now's the time, if you'd like to speak. Whoever gets to the podium first, and then state your name, who you represent, and there is a 5-minute limit.
Good evening. My name is Gary Alba, and I am here representing myself. I'm here tonight for a couple of things. First, I would like to thank the Assembly and the Borough for striking a deal with PIA to expand the airport subdivision. The 4 new borough lots with surfaces to them should help fill a need in the new housing market. I hope the borough can find a way to sell these new lots at affordable prices. It looks like that might be kind of tough with the numbers that we're throwing around, but anyway, I hope that happens because that's what we need. I have one recommendation as far as the new development is concerned, and that would be that the road that's going to be built will be built to the current borough specifications for new roads in the municipality. The road that currently runs through the existing airport subdivision was built to those specifications, and it was paved in 2009. For the past 16 years, hundreds of loads of rock, muskeg, and building materials have been hauled on that road, and there have been $0 spent for maintenance on that road. It is still in great condition. I would also recommend that the road in the new Skylark addition be built to current specs, since the borough will be the ones responsible for maintenance on that road once it is completed and turned over to the borough. Borough employees already do not have the time needed to keep all of our roads graded, and the borough certainly does not need the added costs of maintenance. The current specifications were adopted for these reasons. On another note, in the past 10 to 15 years or so, the Petersburg Indian Association has secured grants and other funding to design and/or construct the following projects in and around our community: replace Greens Camp culvert, rebuild Greens Camp, maintain Forest Service roads, replace culverts out the road, brush the sides of the roads on Forest Service land, contributed funds for paving Mitkoff Highway, handrail and coastal bike and walking path on Libby Straits, paved the road in the Tlingit-Haida subdivision, also known as the airport subdivision, upgraded sidewalks on 3rd Street, 5th Street, and Dolphin Street, paved 1st Street and Dolphin Street, reconstructed the North Nordic sidewalk, did the 1st Street sidewalk, installed North Nordic boardwalk, installed Mountain View Manor boardwalk, Phase 1 of the City Creek Trail, Phase 2 of the City Creek Trail, the Howcan sidewalk up to the Hammers grocery store, repaired Harvey Lake Cabin foundation. The cost for these projects alone has been $9,647,915. Annual funds spent by PIA that benefit our community include trail maintenance, including Borough trails, travel van, Mountain View Manor food delivery services at an annual cost of over $130,000. Other PAIA projects I do not have costs for include the Iris Street duplex currently being built in the airport subdivision, the new parking lot across from the Elizabeth Paradovich building, electronics recycling program, compost program, Greens Camp monitoring, a lease for affordable broadband in partnership with Tlingit and Haida Tidal Network. PIA projects that are currently in the works, Hutley Information Plaza and Tlingit Children's Canoe at Sandy Beach, Eagles Roost Park design and construction for a new stairway. These costs will be around $118,000. In conclusion, I'd like to ask the borough if in the past it has ever officially recognized or thanked the Petersburg Indian Association for all of the funds, time, and effort that they have contributed to Petersburg. If not, I strongly urge this assembly to officially recognize PIA for all they have done to make our community the wonderful place that it is. A plaque or a sign or dedication of some sort seems warranted. Stop for just a moment and think, what would Petersburg look like without all of these projects? Not sure how many of the assembly members have taken the time to walk the Manor Boardwalk, but if you have 20 minutes to spare on a nice day or a high overcast day, I suggest you go park your car up behind the Manor by the Bill Musson Trail sign and take a short walk on the Manor Boardwalk. I guarantee you that short walk on that boardwalk will instantly make you feel better. A special thank you to Jack Galactinoff, who built the majority of that boardwalk by himself, with some help from Adrian Ducat and Mark Martinson. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony tonight, Mr. Rabaugh.
Sure, I can follow that one. My name is Belinda Chase, and I live with my husband Kevin Chase at 1313 Joa Street in the airport subdivision, where we purchased land in 2008 and built a house on Plat 304 Lot 7. My husband and I are here tonight to voice concerns regarding Resolution 2025-01, which approved a land trade known as the Airport Addition Subdivision between the Borough and Tlingit Haida Regional Housing Authority. We are property owners adjoining the land in the trade, but did not know anything about it until reading it on the front page of the January 9th, 2025 Petersburg Pilot, and then hearing it on KFSK radio. This was after the resolution and real property and a conveyance agreement were unanimously approved by the Borough Assembly on January 6th, 2025. We are disappointed in the lack of public information prior to this approval. We have been interested in purchasing the lot behind us for some time, which is Plat 305, Lot 15, the last lot north towards Fram Street. Is that still an option for us or others who have adjoining lots? There are many unknowns and questions yet to be answered. The borough manager was able to provide some information for us today. As this land trade evolves, we urge the Borough Assembly to keep us informed, keep us, the other subdivision residents, and public in the loop about what is happening in our neighborhood. And just as an aside, that is not in this letter, is I do support more housing, for sure. I mean, that is really needed. My biggest, I think, issue with this whole thing is just the lack of knowledge about it, not knowing what was going on. So thank you for your time. That's
All
what I
right,
have.
thank you for your testimony and your concerns this evening. I know we've discussed that subdivision for quite some time, and it's hard to, read the notices at the post office or wherever they're posted, but I think I'm assuming we have posted them in the appropriate places, so.
For the agendas?
What, yeah,
Yeah, the agendas for the
they're just
assembly.
on the website, I guess,
Yes,
yeah.
it's helpful.
KFSK, so.
And as far as individual notifications, we did not do any of that. It wasn't required part of the ordinance on the airport
Application.
Yeah, so the notifications would have been on the Borough Assembly agenda and part of my reports over the last, year and a half that we've been talking about.
But this did go to planning commission, didn't it? And did they hold a public hearing?
They did. I don't know the dates on when that happened.
If they held a public hearing, they would have had to notice that.
Okay,
And I'm pretty sure that it did, but
okay.
yeah, I could look back and see what all was done.
All right, thank you. Is anyone else to be heard on items unrelated to today's agenda? Seeing none. Item 9, board, commission, and committee reports. There are none. No items under 10 on the agenda, consent agenda. Report of other officers. And I'll just let Clerk Thompson do this unless you want me to read it, Clerk Thompson.
No, that's fine.
This is in regards to resolution 2025-02, which we passed at the last meeting.
Yeah, so after the adoption of that resolution on January 6th, we were informed that Proposal 242 that was discussed in the resolution was not a fish and game proposal. After all, it was actually a proposal drafted by the Territorial Sportsmen Incorporated. So the only place on the resolution that it was mentioned that it was a fish and game proposal was in the title of the resolution. I felt that that wasn't going to change your vote on, you opposed 242 and you supported 243. So I went ahead and just changed in the title, Fish and Game to Territorial Sportsmen Incorporated. And I just wanted you all to know that before it was signed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That was brought to our attention after the meeting, so we couldn't change that. So, mayor's report. Again, I have American Cruise Lines on the agenda. There's no new news, to my knowledge, on what's going on with that proposed development.
Not a word.
A dock. So we'll update the public as we get more information. And the borough is seeking letters of interest from citizens who wish to serve the community by filling one of the vacant seats on the following borough boards until October 2025 at the municipal election. Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, there's one vacant seat, and the Planning Commission, there's one vacant seat. And later in the agenda, we have a letter of interest for the Planning Commission seat. But letters of interest may be submitted to Clerk Thompson at the borough offices located at 12 South Nordic Drive, or by sending to Post Office Box 329, Petersburg, Alaska, 99833, or by emailing to dthompson@petersburgak.gov. Next on the mayor's report, assembly work session with the hospital board. We have scheduled the work session in the assembly chambers for Monday, January 27th at 6 p.m. And the borough charter requires that we meet with the board annually. So we'll go over their financial planning, capital improvement needs, comprehensive plans for healthcare, and other matters of concern. Alaska Municipal League Winter Legislative Conference, myself and member Lynn will be traveling to that. That's February 18th through the 20th. So we will both be gone unless we zoom in to the meeting that evening. So just a little forewarning that member Lynn and I will both be gone. And Tlingit-Haida Regional Housing Authority and the Volunteer Income Tax Assistant Program to provide free tax preparation support. THRHA and VITA program will be at the Petersburg Indian Association on March 10th, 2025 from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. to provide free tax preparation support. There will also be a financial education workshop given from 7 to 9. See the attached flyer for more information. And that is the extent of my mayor's reports. Now time for the manager's report.
Thank you, sir. Parks and Rec Advisory Board is having a meeting this Wednesday, January 22nd at 4 p.m. at the Aquatic Center. Please check out the new gymnasium and aquatic schedules around the community center now that school is back in session. There's updated schedules. They're also on Facebook and our borough website. The borough was selected to receive a FY 2025 RAISE grant for the Scow Bay Haul Out. The $8.8 million award, coupled with the $4.1 million congressional funding received last year, fully funds the proposed project, including expanded uplands, extended breakwater, new concrete plank launch ramp, mooring float, concrete washdown pad with pretreatment system, and the extension of water, sewer, power to the site, and area lighting and power pedestals. Power and Light is finishing up on the annual FERC license compliance correspondence and reporting. There was no license compliance issues to discuss with our stakeholders for 2024, so everything turned out really well. Crystal Lake continues to receive inflows from rain, however, snowpack is minimal. So we'll go into the summer at this point full of water, but no runoff after that. While it was initially a mystery, the outage on December 23rd was confirmed to be caused by a bird strike near the South Nordic Dock Street area. So for those interested parties. Power and Light worked with Motor Pool to put the new 55-foot bucket truck into service after once over. The new digger derrick truck is complete and on its way to Petersburg at the present time. The old line trucks will be auctioned in the near future with proceeds from the sales going back into the replacement account. Staff has submitted all required information on the Department of Energy for the Section 243 grant. The final amount of the grant towards the Blind Slough Hydro project is $2.815 million. Now we'll wait to see how long it'll take Department of Energy to get us the money. Harbor Department reminds permanent stall holders to return their updated stall contracts that were sent out at the end of the year. And I submitted our CAPSIS list through the state's online system and gave each assembly member a copy of the summary. If an assembly member wants more detailed information on an item on the list, please let us know. As you know, Deborah Thompson will be retiring from the borough on April 30th. I have offered the borough clerk position to Becky Regula, and she has accepted beginning on April 1st. This will be brought forward to the assembly at the February 3rd meeting for approval. You'll need to ratify that or not. We will then post the deputy clerk position soon for a hopeful start date of April 1 as well. We're trying to get the position filled while we still have Debbie for 30 days and help train the new person. I've completed the draft proposal for the Skylark development. This has been supplied to the developer and I'm expecting their feedback shortly. Once this is resolved, the ordinance and the other documents will be brought to the assembly for approval. At this point, I don't know if that'll be the 1st of February. I haven't heard from Amber and SIG yet. Streets Department personnel operated a small excavator to help assist with the firefighting efforts at the structure file on Frederick Point Drive. And Martin and crew are ditching and grading at the Baylor site to mitigate some drainage issues that are present in the loading dock area. Assistant Director Morrell has stepped in to lead the sanitation department in the short term as we are working on finding a permanent sanitation supervisor. And Siemens was here, I don't know what they found, to investigate some of our HVAC issues at the Muni building and the library. So I don't have an answer yet on what they found. Chris, you do?
Just some basics. I believe the resolution at the library was something minor, turned out to be. And the Muni building, they were pointing back toward that one circuit board that we have already ordered. We don't have the part. We're waiting on the part.
Got it, okay.
So,
Thank you.
yep.
Maintenance crew is assisting Island Refrigeration with some repairs to the heat pump system at Motor Pool. And we are still waiting for the new EPA discharge permit to drop. This is expected sometime in January. Pump Station 4 and Force Main Replacement Project was awarded to Rock and Road. An award letter has been sent, and Rock and Road is working with the borough on submittal of the required contract paperwork. And they had a pre-construction meeting this afternoon on that project, so.
Any questions for the manager on his report? I have one question in regards to the clerk position. We'll address it, February 3rd, but at that point, are we gonna have salaries and just so we know where we're at? When we
Yes.
discussed that, okay.
You have to approve the contracts.
Question to the manager.
We have a retirement party for Debbie?
Would you like to have one?
We should.
I think Becky and I have had some conversations. I'm not sure we've had finalized anything, but yes, we will definitely wish her well.
They let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah. Leave it to me. Humblest apologies.
Okay, moving on. Item 14, unfinished business. Ordinance 2024-24, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds of the borough in the principal amount not to exceed $3,500,000 to pay the costs of public school capital improvements, fixing certain details of such bonds, authorizing the sale of such bonds, authorizing the preparation, execution, and delivery of certain documents in connection therewith, pledging the full faith and credit of the borough to the payment thereof, and providing for related matters. This is the third and final reading. I'd entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance in its third and final reading.
Second.
Motion been made by Member Marsh, seconded by Member Valentine. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
James,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Donna, Mark.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item 15, new business. Item A under new business is Republic Services Municipal Solid Waste and Transportation and Disposal Contract Extension. The borough's 2-year solid waste contract with Republic Services expires in September of 2025, but has an option to extend the agreement for 1 year if the borough notifies Republic Services of the extension by February 1st, 2025. Public Works Director and CSWA Representative Kata recommends the extension to provide time for CSWA to conduct a solid waste study to determine how the Southeast region can work together on waste disposal in the future. If the Republic Services contract is not extended and the waste disposal picture is still unclear with CSWA in September of 2025, the borough would either need to find another solid waste vendor or obtain our own fleet of containers to use for solid waste shipment via Republic. The monetary value of extending the contract for 1 year is expected to be between $425,000 and $475,000 at a rate of $192.40 a ton, starting September 1st, 2025. I'd entertain a motion to grant this extension request.
So moved. Second.
Motion been made by Member Stanton Gregor, seconded by Member Lynn. Any discussion or questions of Mr. Cotta? Member Marsh.
Yes, thank you. Through the mayor, if I may. So one of the options presented if we didn't renew this was to purchase our own shipping containers to essentially still let Republic handle them, if I understand, and taken down to some dump in Seattle area, Washington. And then those containers would then be returned and we'd be shipping back and forth garbage containers essentially. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then part two of that is $192.40 a ton. We're looking at the letter from 2023. The recycling rate was almost a third of that. So would it be to our benefit to up the recycling and reduce our garbage output? I wonder if you might share your thoughts on that.
Well, in short, no, it would not. We're gonna be taking a closer look at the recycling program during this budget process to see, you know, if we want to continue it, its current form. The value of recyclables never really recovered to what they were before. And so, you know, we're struggling to get any value back on that material that we're sending out. So it would not be advantageous with our current rate structure to collect more recycling with the model that we're currently following. So we're gonna be taking a look at possibly, you know, going to a drop-off program like we considered before. But yeah, we don't want to try and send more recyclables out at this point. It doesn't make sense from a budgetary standpoint.
Yeah, if I might, Chris, where are you at now with the other communities and looking at other alternatives in the study And what's your plan to come online, et cetera, with some ideas?
Well, we're in the kind of the early stages of it, but, the CSWA was able to partner with Southeast Conference, and we obtained a $500,000 grant, from Denali Commission to study this problem. And so we developed an RFP that's out on the street right now. The proposals are due 31st of January, I believe. And so once we get those in and make a selection, we'll have a better idea of what the timeline is gonna be, but we're hoping to basically be done within a 2-year time frame. It may be sooner, but we should have a better idea of where this is going in another, year or so. Right now, it's too early to say if what we're doing is the best we can hope for or we can achieve, or if there's, maybe regional solutions that could, with a little bit of cooperation, that could bring the price down.
Sports, oh, sorry.
I have follow-up to that. If the Republic won't extend it another year, so you'd look at next year, and we're still in the study mode, and what you've showed us earlier, would we then be in a place we're still going to have to buy containers and do something different than we're doing? Just a question for now.
Possibly. When we went through this renewal process with Republic, we did get one other quote, from Waste Management, and they were higher than Republic, quite a bit higher, but their proposal did not require us to buy all of our own equipment. So if we were, if we get to the point where, our year extension is running out, Republic doesn't want to play ball, and we don't have another solution on the horizon, I would probably go back to these other service providers. There's only a couple others that we could talk to, but I'd go back to them and, see if we can make some kind of deal that didn't involve having to buy a fleet of containers, because that really becomes a logistical nightmare, because you not only have to have all these containers, but then you've got to have chassis under them. You've got to have equipment potentially to tow, where are you going to store them? Because you have to buy enough containers so that you have enough during peak season, which is in the summer. But then in the off season, you're going to have a bunch of extras sitting around. So where do you put them? So there's a lot of additional issues that crop up. It's not just simply writing a check and buying a fleet of containers. There's a whole bunch of other logistics that come into play. So I'm hoping that we can avoid that scenario altogether. But in a year, if we don't have any solutions on the horizon for the region, and if Republic doesn't want to work with us, then we would probably talk to one or more of the others that work in the region. Republic has said things to me that indicate that if they know that, the CSWA study is working toward a goal that, may have a solution in the not too distant future, that, they might be open to extending this a little bit more, although I don't have that in writing, so we can't count on it. What we do have in writing is, that they'll let us extend 1 year from September, and that's all we
Thank you.
have that's concrete right now.
Yeah, Chris, have you heard anything from Wrangell? I'm looking for good information here, solid information. There was some excitement, I was in Wrangell this fall, about, the word incinerator was used. And then along with that, bioenergy, and I think it was a private investor that was looking at this same issue of, what can you tell me about that? Can you tell me anything?
Well, Wrangell's been approached by a couple of different businesses about possibly siting an incinerator at that old mill property over there. one company is from down in the, the Pacific Northwest. They have a proprietary incinerator design. They're trying to sell it to Wrangell as, the latest best thing. But some of their information doesn't really add up. They were telling the folks in Wrangell that they had already talked to Juneau and Petersburg, and that Juneau and Petersburg weren't interested, but no one talked to us, right? And I don't think anybody talked to Juneau either, from the sound of it. So that was one company. Then the other one is, a firm that operates in Southeast that has waste, like scrap metal operations in this region. But I don't think they've gotten very far with either one of those folks. I think it's just talk right now. The CSWA study is definitely going to look at incineration in depth. And so I think the best course of action as far as that technology goes is to work through the study process and see if there's, viable technology for this area. Petersburg has looked at incinerators more than once in the past. They've not been followed through on just because the numbers don't add up, the costs are high. There's not a lot of municipalities even in the Pacific Northwest that use incinerators now. I think there's one in Spokane and one somewhere in BC, but it's not a thing that lots of people are going to. I think it can be maybe the right solution for certain circumstances, but we're going to be taking a close look at that technology along with all the other options as we get into this study process.
Is there one on the Kenai Peninsula down by Nikiski? This is 15 years ago when I was coaching, and they were talking about taking care of Palmer and Kenai and.
Not that I know
Nikiski.
of. I don't,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll make a phone call, see, but.
There's some smaller ones that, operate here and there, but the larger type installations, I'm not aware of one there.
Go ahead. Manager Giesbrecht.
Through the mayor, Chris, you had mentioned at one point some volume that was like, to make it work, was all of the trash in all of Southeast Alaska. I don't know if you could inform the assembly about that. That was valuable information.
Yeah, the one firm, Borgford, I think was the name of the firm that had the proprietary technology that made a presentation in Wrangell. Their incinerator required something like 75 tons a day to keep it operational and working as it was designed. And that figure would essentially represent all the waste in Southeast. So you'd have to have a coordinated effort to, barge everything in, even from Juneau probably, to be able to maintain the flow of material that would be needed to keep that thing running. So, yeah, again, those types of things are they need a lot of engineering to back them up, and hopefully successful installations in other areas that you can look at. And, we're not seeing that at this point, but we're open to what we might find out during an intensive, study of the problem that we're getting ready to undertake.
Okay, Member Valentine, and then Member.
So, from reading this, my understanding is that you, suggest us to move in with the one-year extension of this, correct?
I'm recommending that. I think
Recommend.
it's our best option for the next year.
Okay, so then with that too, when you say that the multiple communities are looking into this, and so does that also mean that all the communities are looking at Republic And then all the, all these communities you're talking about are gonna renegotiate. So we're not the only one talking to Republic and going, we'll have multiple communities behind us as well,
Yeah.
in a sense, I guess.
Yeah, the study process is being, it's being funded by a grant that was obtained by the CSWA, but also jointly with Southeast Conference. So, CSWA represents 9 communities in Southeast Alaska. Southeast Conference represents the whole of Southeast Alaska. So we're definitely, through this study process, we're looking to benefit as many communities as possible in the whole region.
So then as a region, we can all negotiate these prices, right? It wouldn't be just us for Republic on
Yes,
negotiating
that's
price
correct.
after this study is to happen, right? So
That's
given this
correct.
year gives us that time to be able to do so.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Member Stanton Greger?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Director Cotta, for preparing this for us. I'll be voting yes on this tonight. Makes sense, it's logical. Like you said, CSWA is going to be actively working on this over the course of the year. But to the point of this discussion, extending this 1 year, it seems like a no-brainer to buy us time to let the study run its course. So, thanks.
So, Mr. Cotta, this $425,000 to $475,000, that's gonna be the next year's fee. I mean, is that in, pretty close to what we're paying now at $192.40 a ton? Or is there gonna be an increase like everything else is increasing?
No, that's what I'm projecting it'll cost based on the last couple years of expenses.
So
And
it's just extending our method of disposing of garbage for another year?
yes,
Okay. And then hopefully CSWA will come up with a plan. I know we've been talking about this in the region for over a decade. So maybe everybody's gonna feel the crunch and we'll try to keep it, keep our garbage local, but save some money. Okay, if there's no other questions or discussion, will the clerk call the roll?
Bob,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Donna, Rob,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item B, the support for reauthorization of secure rural schools funding. Petersburg Borough has received approximately $500,000 annually from the Secure Rural Schools Reauthorization Act of 2023, which is used to maintain high-quality education services in our local schools and to maintain our municipal roads. A bill to reauthorize and extend the Secure Rural Schools program through 2026 passed the Senate, but it died in the House in November of 2024. If this funding is not reauthorized by the 119th U.S. Congress, the borough will need to decide to reduce funding to the school district or raise our property tax rate to the maximum allowed by borough charter. If approved, the attached letter urging reauthorization of the Secure Rural Schools Reauthorization Act of 2023 will be sent to Senator Murkowski, Senator Sullivan, and Representative Begich. This isn't the first time we've been in this situation, but if we lost the funding, it'd be not good. So I will entertain a motion to support a letter to
So moved.
Congress to reauthorize.
Second.
Yeah, remember, did you make a motion, Jay?
I did.
Member Stanton Greger made a motion and Member Lynn seconded it. Sorry, I'm not all here tonight for some reason. Anyway, discussion. Member Stanton Greger.
Yeah, just briefly, Mr. Mayor, like you said, this is something we've had to navigate before. It seems like oftentimes SRS funding feels like it's that at risk. I'm gonna knock on wood for our community that it is funded. And I think us sending this letter is the least we can do and seems important. So I will definitely be voting yes.
Lynn.
Yeah, thank you. I was in Washington when this was first authorized, 1999. It was only going to be for 4 or 5 years. And this lasted, but looking at it from our own community standpoint, this has a major impact on us. I was sitting with Jody the other day talking about looking at the future here and what happens if we were to lose that funding and we go back with just the normal funding we would get from the federal government, this has a big impact on us from the standpoint that we look at, and I don't want to put words in Jody's mouth because we were just talking about it, but we were talking about, this moves us back a number of years that we will have sufficient funds without raising any kind of mill rate to the max, what have you. And I think what we talked about, Jody, was a year and a half or,
If we kept the same level of funding, using Secure All Schools as we did this current year.
and so it's really important to us, and I totally support this letter. Thank you.
Any other input? I know we belong to an organization called NACO, National Association of Counties, and it was $500 a year we pay for that. And they lobby for this extensively because there's, other communities that are affected by timber receipts with secure rural schools. So I will be supporting this letter, and maybe letters from us and everyone else will make a difference. So if there's no other discussion, will the clerk call the roll?
James,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item C under new business, Assembly/School Board Work Session. Borough Charter, Section 8.04 provides that the Assembly and School Board shall meet at least once yearly in public session to discuss and coordinate financial planning, capital improvement needs, comprehensive plans for education, and other matters of concern. Thursday, February 6, 2025 at 6 p.m. has been a suggested date and time. That doesn't conflict with any other meetings in the chambers?
It does not.
Okay, does that time work for most of the assembly members? I know member Newman said he will be traveling, I believe.
Yeah, I'll be out of town, but I can zoom in.
Okay, all right, perfect. So if that time and date works, we'll schedule it.
Sounds good.
Looked like we had consensus of the assembly. I don't think we need to vote, so. Okay, appointment to the Planning Commission. Donald Spurl has submitted a letter of interest to fill the vacant seat on the Planning Commission until the October 2025 municipal election. Without any objection by the Assembly, I would like to appoint Donald Spurl to that position until 2025 election. Okay, thank you for putting your name in, Mr. Spurl. I'm sure the clerk will reach out to you. Item 16, communications. All the correspondence received since January 2nd, 2025 is on the agenda. So if people are interested to see what kind of communications the Assembly gets, look it up. Assembly discussion items, Assembly member comments. Are there any comments by the Assembly members? Member Marsh.
Thank you. I actually have one regarding the correspondence that we did receive regarding cruise ship volumes from a writer named Mary L. Stevenson, who's been involved in the tourism industry for some time. And the numbers that she presents with her statistics, the number of cruise ship stops in Ketchikan and Juneau, I found fascinating, incredible, and I don't envy either of those towns with the huge influx of extra people. But I took it as a letter of caution, a cautionary tale, if you will, that Petersburg doesn't have the huge influx that these other towns do, thankfully, to a lot of reasons, but whatever ventures we do, agreements we line up with American Cruise Line or ABC Cruise Company or wherever, we need to do it prudently. I thought it was interesting, and I would encourage the public to check out that letter and the statistics and see what they come up with.
Thank you for bringing it up. Member Schwartz.
Well, since it's a we're discussing it, it was a pretty shocking letter. I know in Sitka, they were trying to manage things. And I think you know the name of it, one of the big companies just bought private land. And it's going to have a huge impact on Sitka. The other thing that the fishermen discuss quite often is with the influx of those big, 5,000, 6,000 passenger boats, what's the impact on the environment? I know that fishing out there you know, between Turnabout and the Brothers, where they can dump their gray water, the water color changes significantly. So I think they said there's an 800 and some thousand more people they're looking to bring to Southeast Alaska. You know, sometimes Ketchikan has almost as many tourists as they do people. So it is something to be on the radar. But we don't have a deep water port, so.
Yeah, I grew up in Skagway and I've been part of that for my whole life, watching, and my dad was part of the hospitality industry. So to watch what had happened there, and me coming back to Petersburg, it is very, I've seen these numbers before, but it's good to know that Petersburg wants the best for this community. And moving forward, just the fact that we're even discussing it is really, really good step in the right direction. Because what happened in Sitka, you know, basically these people just went to a private guy because they're just like, well, the assembly doesn't want to work with us, so we're gonna go find a private guy, and then this is the issue, and then it's gonna happen at Ward Cove in Ketchikan, and it's gonna happen again here in Juneau if with Norwegian putting in that new bid. So it wasn't in Sitka, it's in Juneau on Douglas. That's where the new.
But I've been sick of too, if you talk below.
Well, yeah, but it went to a private, the ship went to a private person who owned that piece of property. They didn't actually buy the property. So anyhow, no, it's good that we're all talking about it, and I like the fact that we're talking about it, so. And I've been in the industry a long time as well.
Yeah, thanks for bringing up that letter. I read it and it was kind of the numbers, you don't realize it till you actually see them in print. But, you know, it did happen in Ward's Cove. The Binkley family bought the docks there. The people live out on North Tongass now, highway. They haven't, you know, it's a horrible commute now to get to downtown. And on another note, the municipalities that have spent money building these birthing facilities, and the private entity comes in and builds them and quit using the docks that the borough built. I think the boroughs and municipalities are losing some money, but, like I've mentioned a couple times, that I think the community needs to have a discussion. I think that, well, we're having it for the community now, but I think at some point, it'd be nice to get the public's input on what level of tourism they would like, find acceptable for Petersburg. Not that you could stop it. I mean, if someone buys a chunk of land and puts in a dock, then I don't know how we address that, but it'd be nice to make some kind of a statement as a community, I think. That's my input. Any other, assembly member comments under discussion items? Recognitions, are there any recognitions? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by member Stan Gregor, second by member Marsh. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.